So this is just the overview of the program, as I already mentioned. So first of all, few words about us. So the CZELO office is part of the Czech National Agency for Erasmus+, DZS, also known for the Czech participants as Dům zahraniční spolupráce. DZS is seated in Prague and is responsible for the administration of 21 educational programs and international networks. The DZS has also this Brussels office, CZELO, here in the center of the European Union, and we are here to provide relevant and up-to-date information on EU research and education policies, programs, calls, and documents. We will not speak today about research, but if you are interested in these activities as well, our colleagues, they cover programs such as Horizon Europe, Life, Cost, EU for Health, and others. From the education part, we cover Erasmus Plus, and to be more specific, Erasmus Plus centralized activities. That's why we are also organizing this event on Teacher Academies. The CZELO office is in Brussels since 2005, but it was only dedicated to research. And since last year, we also enriched our agenda with education. And altogether, we are here a team of 7 people. All services that we provide are free of charge. Here you can see also some pictures of our office. So if you ever come to Brussels, and feel free to ring the bell or just knock the door, and you can meet us, and we can share what we have to share, some news and also other information. Now, just very briefly, what are the main activities of CZELO office in the area of education? So we are here to promote Czech institutions in Brussels among our other stakeholders and partners, and also EU institutions. So we are in touch with other, for example, regional delegations, other liaison offices of other member states. We are in touch with Czech Center Brussels, permanent representation, Czech Embassy, and other partners. We are also monitoring latest EU education policies, and we, for example, issue our newsletter, so you can subscribe to it and you will always know what's going on here. We offer information and consultations, but mostly on Erasmus Plus and centralized activities, apart from Erasmus Plus Teacher Academies, that also includes, for example, Erasmus Mundus, capacity building, and others. We also organize events such as this webinar, but also conferences or debates for a wider public. We also serve as a support point here to the Czech educational community. So as I mentioned before, if you are here in Brussels and you need some support, just feel free to reach us. We can also let you stay in our premises. So if you, for example, are looking for some meeting room where you can meet with your project partners, you can let us know and you can stay here for free. And also we can help you with partner search and networking. So that's from my side. If you will have any more questions, you can ask us in the chat or at the end. And I would like to pass the floor to Veronika.
Thank you, Bara, very much. I hope you can also hear me very well. And also on behalf of our agency and our SAAIC organization, I would like to welcome all participants on this webinar. And I am also going to very briefly introduce SAAIC, which is an abbreviation of the Slovak Academic Association for International Cooperation. And this organization was established in 1992. And in fact, on the right side, you can see a photo of our whole organization celebrating its 30th anniversary just last week. So this is us, and we consist of the Erasmus National Agency, of the Euroguidance Center and Eurydice. This might be known to you very well, but just in short, the Euroguidance Center is a center offering career guidance. Eurydice is a part of the European network of Eurydice organizations that are providing studies and analysis on topics of education. So this is what we consist of. And as for the national agency, we are focused on 4 education and training sectors. So from the school education through vocational education and training, higher education, up to the adult education. As for the youth sector, we have another national agency in Slovakia. And our agency consists of 2 main units dealing with decentralized action, so with Key Action 1, Key Action 2. So it's the project management unit, which is divided according to the sectors and then key actions. And also we have the primary checks unit that are responsible for the checks of the ongoing projects, beneficiaries, and so on. And regarding the centralized actions, in the previous program period was the position of the ICP, International Contact Point, who was responsible mainly for the higher education centralized actions. But now with the new program period and with centralized actions that are now throughout all the sectors, it needs to have a bigger team of people. So now somehow everyone in each sector is more or less aware of the centralized actions and provides the beneficiaries the support, promotion, and some information regarding all the necessary information about the actions, the funding and tenders portal, and all the other important information. So that's how we are organized. And this is everything from me, from us, the organizers. And now I would like to pass the floor to Tapio, who is going to present you the Teacher Academies projects in Call 2022. So Tapio, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I start sharing the screen and I take my presentation. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So actually the objective of my presentation is indeed to give you some background on the Erasmus Plus Teacher Academies and some of the key features of this call for proposals and what are the overall requirements. And indeed on Friday 20th of May at 2 o'clock, the executive agency, the European Education and Culture Executive Agency, will organize a more detailed info session explaining all the eligibility criteria, award criteria, and how to apply. So this will be a kind of, let's say, introduction on the policy side and why have we introduced this kind of action in the first place. And I will start by explaining the European education area, which is actually the current policy framework for all of the work that we do in the field of education and training. And this was actually published already in 2020 in September in a communication that you will see. I have actually put all the links in the slide, so hopefully they work and that you can get more information, more detailed information on those documents by clicking those links. But this European education area is indeed the kind of, let's say, flagship initiative of the EU now in the field of education and training, and it was in a way confirmed by the Council of Ministers in their resolution on the European education area. And as you can see, it's quite comprehensive. It focuses on quality in education and training, starting from basic skills and transversal key competencies. It has a very, let's say, important focus on inclusion and gender equality. And it goes without saying that these green and digital transitions are supported by education. These are, of course, the top priorities of the whole EU. But what you also can see is that teachers and trainers have a specific, let's say, dimension in this whole package. And this is, of course, because of the fact that we know that without teachers' commitment and teachers' involvement, no reform can be a successful one. And we also know that teachers are actually the biggest investment in education. So there's a good reason, to focus really on teachers. Of course, we also focus on higher education, and there's an increasing, let's say, increasing work on the geopolitical dimension involving other than the program countries or the European Union countries. And in this context, then the question is that, okay, what do we want to achieve? What is the vision for teachers and teacher education in Europe? And of course, it goes without saying that it is about high quality initial education, effective induction, and continuous professional development throughout their careers, including participation in professional networks and communities, and by benefiting from mobility abroad. And as you can see here, there are quite a lot of, let's say, areas that we should focus on, and that also are relevant for the Erasmus Plus teacher academies. But there are also quite a lot of challenges facing education and training systems in Europe. And this information is mainly based on TALIS, which was reported in the Education and Training Monitor in 2019, and the very latest Eurydice report on teachers in Europe. But it is a fact that 25% of school heads reported a shortage of qualified teachers. And what is also quite which is quite worrying is that there are shortages of teachers teaching with the students with special needs, and students in multicultural and multilingual settings, and those coming from socioeconomically disadvantaged homes. We also know that the teaching workforce is aging. Already now, more than 30% or almost 40% of secondary teachers in Europe are 50 or above. So there will be a big wave of retirements in the next decade, and then the challenge is indeed to get the replacements for those teachers. But it is actually also clear that, and you can see it in the next slide even better, that on the one hand we have shortages, but there are also some countries where we have oversupply, and in some countries both. So, and then you see here in green color the countries that are, let's say, where teachers population is aging. I don't know why Eurydice chose green color to illustrate aging. I would have chosen gray, but it was their choice. So you can see that the picture in getting the recruitment and the teaching workforce correct, the demand and supply is quite a big policy challenge in most of the countries, and it is exactly something that we also need to improve in order to keep the high quality education in Europe. Another challenge is actually this, and related to these shortages, is this image of teaching professions and professional development opportunities. And again, coming from the TALIS OECD TALIS survey, only 1 in 5 felt that the teaching profession is valued by the society. And as you know, we have quite a huge gender imbalance. Most of the teachers are female, especially at the primary level, something like 85%, and still in the secondary level, 65 approximately % are female. What is a bit good news is that according to this Eurydice report and TALIS survey, most of the teachers do participate in further learning, but indeed in those areas like special educational needs, ICT, and multilingual and multicultural environments, much more training or, let's say, professional development is needed. Another challenge is, of course, these digital competencies, and as we know from our reports, is that 60 EU member states have a framework for teachers' digital competencies, and in 15 countries, these competencies are included in the general teacher competence frameworks. But before, and this was indeed before the pandemic, when the TALIS survey was done, only 40% of teachers felt prepared And now, of course, we all agree that the pandemic, if it had anything good, any good results, it was that the teachers started to learn about digital learning and ICT. And now actually we had this digital education action plan that was published together with the European education area, and 62% of those respondents said that they have improved their skills, and half of the teachers still want to take further action on those skills. So this is of course something that has been advancing, and I think that this webinar is a good example of this kind of development. Then I would also highlight this schools development plans, and this is again from the EuroDC report. And as you can see that that in most of the countries it is compulsory to have some kind of school professional development plan in schools. And in some countries it is not compulsory, but I suppose that it is done in most of the schools. And I think that this in a way encapsulates the very idea that if we want to make schools as learning communities up to date with the teaching and learning, and if we really want to develop teachers' competencies, the questions are that how do we identify teachers' learning needs, collective learning needs for the whole school environment or school community, the individual learning needs of teachers, and how they are then put in place. We know from the reports that most of the professional development still is about taking part in courses and seminars, but increasingly we also see that professional networks and we have the e-twinning, which is a very good example of that at the EU level, but other networks are also gaining ground, and we also know that teachers appreciate and feel that learning is more effective when it's done together with the peers and together with or within different types of professional networks and communities. And most probably they are more than sustainable, those results that are gained in that type of professional learning. As I mentioned at the very beginning, mobility is one of the key, let's say, ideas of the whole Erasmus Plus program. And again, we know from the TALIS surveys, OECD's TALIS surveys, that at the moment something like 40% of teachers in the EU have been abroad during their careers. And there is some increase because TALIS was done already in 2013 and then again in 2018. And we see that something like 60% increase took place during this period. And again, of course, we all know that the pandemic stopped most of the mobility. So again, we don't know what the situation is at the moment, but we think, or let's say we hope that the next TALIS survey that will take place in 2024 will then include questions about mobility, so then we can have an indication on how this has been evolving. But again, we know that most of the teachers taking part in mobility are language teachers or science teachers, and the teaching as such is not so widespread. Approximately 30% have gone abroad for teaching. On the one hand, we know the benefits of mobility for language learning, cultural understanding, reflection, and understanding of new teaching methods and competencies, creating networks. But we also know that there are quite a lot of obstacles like funding. Erasmus is actually the biggest funder of mobilities in Europe. But, finding substitute teachers, scheduling, we sometimes speak about these mobility windows, to make sure that it is easier for teachers or sending and hosting organizations to organize mobility. Here you see a bit more comprehensive picture on countries' situation vis-a-vis the mobility, and you see also quite a big differences between countries. And you see also the red dot is now about the value in 2013, so you can see that in most of the countries there has been some increase. We have also very fresh Council conclusions on teacher mobility from April this year. It was done by the French under the French presidency of the Council, and these conclusions emphasize a lot the importance of mobility, and the Commission also. We as a Commission, we will be working on this mobility. We try to create a kind of policy framework that helps member states and educational institutions to organize mobility more effectively. Finally, I will, just before we go to the Erasmus Plus Teacher Academies, highlight some other initiatives that are related to the expectations of the teacher academies. And we already published a year ago, I think it was already a year ago, a Council recommendation on blended learning. And it's good to know that this was, of course, deriving from the pandemic and the digital learning and quick move to ICT-based learning. But not only, it is a broader one. And so I recommend that you have a look at it as a basis for developing blended learning and widening the teaching and learning environments in schools. Last year, we also published the first Innovative Teaching Award, and that was based on innovative Erasmus Plus projects. And this year it will be a second round, and we now link this to the European Bauhaus initiative. So, and we work together with the national agencies to get these awards done this year again. We just also published a selfie for teachers that will help teachers to identify their digital competencies and plan ahead, you know, if they need, if there are areas for further training. And before the selfie for teachers, we published the selfie for schools. That is a kind of measuring or helping schools to self-evaluate their digital maturity. And that was proved to be a very, very, very useful tool for schools. And we hope that this selfie for teachers is the same for individual teachers. Then the learning for environmental sustainability, this will be a big proposal, and you can imagine that this is linked to the green transition. It is now at the moment debated at the Council, so we hope to have it out from the Council quite soon, so probably during the summer months. And another proposal is this pathways for school success for all. This is actually building on the 2011 recommendation on reducing early school leaving that introduced this idea of improving monitoring, being ready for prevention and intervention and compensation measures when early school leaving was about to take place. And this is also looking more closely at the basic skills acquisition, plus also the well-being of teachers and learners in schools. We also look at the teaching careers, and here the idea is that we look at we work with 6 countries to look at how they are developing a national career framework for teachers. And the idea is here that teachers, when they start, would see the options and possibilities to enrich their careers, you know, by, let's say, getting more expertise or going to management or leadership positions, or even go out from the position and coming back. So, and again, this is something that is linked to the attractiveness of the teaching profession and getting young people interested in it. And these are also the, as you can see, they are the key priorities of the European education area. We have working groups and different actions related to these initiatives, but these are also the ideas that we expect the teacher academies to look at and contribute to. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, the Erasmus Plus Teacher Academies. So indeed, it is a new action of the Erasmus Plus program, and the key here is to bring together networks or create networks of initial teacher education and continuous professional development providers with other relevant stakeholders. As you can see here, the idea of continuum is well embedded into this idea of teacher academies. And indeed, they should focus on key priorities of the EU, like digital learning, sustainability, equity, and inclusion. And there's also the requirement of offering student teachers and serving teachers courses. They can be summer courses, they can be MOOCs, they can be online or on-site, innovative practical collaboration, and also look at this mobility, which of course nowadays can be virtual, physical, or blended as part of the learning. And in the longer run, since these are quite big projects, we expect these networks to become let's say, rather sustainable and also have an impact on policies. So we think that teacher education providers will benefit from these projects by enhancing the international and European dimension, and also together with other organizations organize learning provision, initial and CPD, and look at the mobility schemes, how to improve them and how to make them possible. And also in the longer run have a possibility to impact on policies. For the student teachers and teachers, again, these academies will give a unique perspective to European education systems. And what is also important is that those courses or learning offer is really quality assured and recognized, so that when teachers go back home, they can really take the benefit of their participation on those. And again, we hope that these academies create professional communities and networks that are long-lasting and help participants also when the project is over. And indeed, for policymakers, we expect that they look very carefully on these teacher academies and that they are involved, and teacher academies keep them informed on their work so that they can learn from it, and there will be some kind of systemic impact as well. So in practice, we had one call for proposal already, and from 56 applications, we selected 11 projects, and they involve actually 182 organizations from 23 countries. And we are quite happy with the result because they really cover the themes and priorities of the call: sustainability, STEM education, inclusion, etc., etc. And they really focus on this idea of teachers working together and to this continuum of teachers' career development throughout the years. You can have a look at the launch event in more details with this link if you are interested in these selected ones. They are now still in the process of finalizing their contracts with the executive agency, so they should launch their real work in the coming months. So I'm quite brief with this because indeed the info session will be there on Friday afternoon. But here you can have links to the call for proposals, to the program guide where the text of the call is, and you will get also a nice presentation on the portal. So I don't go in more details of this. Instead, if I may, I would give you some homework, if I may call it in that way. So this list of, let's say, information, different links will help you to understand what is the policy context and background for Erasmus Teacher Academies. And I would probably recommend perhaps to start with this Eurydice report, which gives a very good picture on where we are at the moment, while the others are then more focusing on the policies and policy goals and policy objectives that the teacher academies will be following. So thank you from my part, and if there are any questions, I will be happy to try to answer, and I will stop my presentation now successfully, it looks like. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks to you, Mr. Savola. for this very informative presentation. I think it was quite obvious that teachers and educators stays in the center of the European education agenda, which is also quite like can be illustrated by this initiative itself, also by the council recommendation that was adopted in April on teachers' mobility, but also by other initiatives. And really, thank you for mentioning all of them, all of the related initiatives and strategies that should really be taken into account once you are preparing your project proposal, because it's important to for the Commission to see, so they see that you were thinking about it and you are addressing the challenges and priorities of the teacher education. Thank you also for mentioning all the challenges of related to teachers' mobilities and development of teachers. And yeah, and also for the links, I think that's really useful for the participants as well. And just as you mentioned, the info session will be this Friday, and you will hear like more, let's say, practical information and technical information there regarding the number of partners, how to prepare the proposal and stuff like that. So thank you once again. And now, if you have any question, anyone, just feel free to ask. You can raise your hand or just turn on the microphone, or also use the chat. Nothing so far. So maybe I will have one question from my side. So what do you think would be like what kind of stakeholders should be involved in this initiative, and who should join forces to make this initiative successful and to move teacher education forward? What do you think, or what does the Commission expect who will join forces in this initiative and projects? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I think that, the core, of course, is in teacher education, that we have providers of initial teacher education and those that are providing continuous professional development. So they are, of course, at the core. But what we also say that involving schools, the kind of schools that teachers are practicing their skills, and then also those in countries that are responsible for the regulations and legislative framework for teacher education. Are they then organizations responsible for the quality, or let's say teachers' competencies, etc., etc. So the idea is indeed to have a kind of comprehensive approach, and not to work in isolation, because these are rather big and long-lasting projects. And then, as I said, that there is this that you think also from the outset that how do you then make sure that this has an impact on national and European policies. It does not mean that there should be a big revolution, of course, but it means that those that should know will be involved in a way or another. And of course, this is a kind of, the consortium is a package that every let's say member or every partner should have a meaningful role there, and so that it is a well-functioning and coherent project and project proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So if I understand it correctly, we are talking about like faculties, universities, or higher education institutions, but also ministries and other regional bodies also can be involved, and of course schools, primary and secondary as well.
The minimum is very clearly explained in the program guide, but that is of course the minimum, and so that it is a kind of nucleus that explains that what are the partners that we at least want to see there in every application to be eligible.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any question at this point? If not, thank you very much once again. It's much appreciated, all this presentation and also your answer to the questions. And now I would like to pass the floor to the next speaker, Jiří Kropáč from Palacký University, Faculty of Education, and he will be presenting the project of Digital Teacher Academy, which is one of the projects that were successful in the first call. Like Mr. Savala already presented that 11 projects were selected, and Digital Teacher Academy that you will hear about in a second was one of the successful ones, and Palacký University is involved in the project as a partner. So thank you, Mr. Kropáč, and you can start sharing.
Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for invitation. Also the organizers, thank you for the invitation for this presentation. I would like to start with the presentation about the digital academies. At first, please, I just briefly thank you to Mr. Savala about the information which are necessary for your application and submission of your application for a future call, because it's very important to notice all of the details in that. Actually, I will start with the presentation. Hopefully you will see it immediately in a few seconds. And let's wait just a second. Yeah, I still have some notes here. I will try to delete it later, but actually we tried before. So I hope you may see the presentation now. Please, if you will have the further question later, because I'm speaking very fast, that's because actually I'm sending greetings to all of you from cloudy Prague, where I'm actually staying, and I'm waiting for the transfer to next European Commission project to Poland. So actually I'm on the journey, so I will a little bit speak faster, but on the other way, I will give you much more space for your questions later. So please don't hesitate to ask me about the project, what was the most difficult, what was the most complicated. You also may ask me in the Czech or Slovak language. I will try to express that in the English too. We start the cooperation with the Funiber University, and the dealing of this project started around August 2021. I'm an associate professor at the Palacký University Faculty of Education in Olomouc. If you will need any another explanation later, so you may easily scan the LinkedIn QR code and contact me later. I will try to reply you as soon as possible. If you will need my contact on the email, you may visit the websites, our official websites of our faculty, where is everything like my email or telephone number. So if I will be able, I will try to immediately help you if you will need something about the digital academies. We started the cooperation as an invited partner, as was mentioned by Ms. Sabotkova, which is very handful for us. In that way, we were participating in the dealing since August 2021, and the main partner was Fundación Universidad de Europa del Atlántico, especially the European University of the Atlantic, which easily helped us with everything. It was really brilliant job which they did, and they contact us all the time, so the communication was very smooth. So please don't be hesitate to contact any partner if you have any idea, if you want to create something new. You may easily send them the email, well, we are looking for this, we are looking for this, do you want to participate in this project, and start a discussion about the opportunities. Is the key point for all of you, because without the discussion, without the very quickly discussion before the call expires, it's very important to notice. It's the key point to success, I think, because you have to deal a lot of the problematic details later, such as the documentation, the signature, etc., etc. And especially if you're starting with a dealing about the project, it's necessary to keep in mind the gap between the end of the semester at many European universities and also the holiday time and the call deadline. So it's very important to keep it in the mind. Don't be afraid to contact also the experts, the stakeholders. I think this is the most important thing in this call, because it's targeting for connection between the universities, teachers in the practice, the another entities in the practice and education, also the people which are participating in the curricular process of implementation, some things, problematic things, innovation, etc., etc. Also the NGOs, which helps you with dissemination groups, dissemination problems, outputs, everything is going very smoothly if you have this part part of participants in your project. And sometimes the communication needs longer time, especially if you imagine that situation you are communicated with some entity or stakeholders which are publicly. That's mean they don't have so much free time as we academics. That's mean we have another task, but on that way during the communication, our communication is very fast, very progressive. We may spend 2 nights in a row about writing the project, but on the other hand, it's sometimes necessary to keep in mind also these difficulties during the communication process. The very important thing, mostly of you sometimes have the idea, well, we will receive some foundation from the European Union. Honestly, it's a big illusion, because also you have to count with some participation from your own institution. And it's very important to notice it's usually 20% of the domestic or internal budget from your institution. Sometimes it's very risky for some small entities or stakeholders. On the other hand, you are involved to long-term project, 3 years project, which helps you to enrich and enhance the practice of the people, the society, and the teachers. For example, you are trying to create something what is very useful for the further society. So it's very fantastic way. So in that way, you must be just only very careful if your institution have enough money, which may be used for the process, the long process of this development of platform, etc., traveling expenses, etc. I must mention also our partners. As a Faculty of Education, we were involved as associate partner to this project. The main partner is, I will use it shortly, FUNIBER, which is the European Atlantic University, which it's a consortium of a lot of the universities. The most important thing is don't be afraid to communicate in English. This is the key point. If you will try to communicate with the mistakes, it's absolutely brilliant, because you are teaching, you are trying to involve the communication about the project, you are participating in the project. Don't be scared of this. This is not a limitation. This is advantage of the further cooperation if the project will be successful. Actually, also we have the universities from Slovak, language route, and there is also the Poland University. Also, we have lots of the stakeholders, the experts field, especially the European Commission try to help us with some things about the quality assurance of this project, which we really appreciate in this part of the project. Also, we try to involve some NGO companies, NGOs, which are participating and trying to improve some education level, not just only through the curricula level, but also through the the best practice, problem-based learning, etc., etc. This is the most important. Mainly, you are asking yourself, what is the biggest advantage for you if you don't have so much experience with the writing of the project, or if you don't have so much time to writing this project? So you may easily wait for someone who will offer you some cooperation in digital academies. This is the a little bit passive way how to participate in this project. On the other way, the responsibility is not too high for you. We are incoming to this project as the institution, as the Polecki University institution, the second oldest one university in the Czech Republic. And it's very important for us to enrich our practice, enrich our research and development skills, and enhance also the pre-service learning, teachers, identities, etc., etc. So we are the full partner, actually. Also, we are a partner which have to, contribute on the budget of this project, which is great for us. And we have lots of the ideas how we may improve our ideas future during the outputs, during the realization, because the project is approved. On the other hand, we have the kick-off in July 2022. So lots of the details are actually polishing. That means the national agencies are waiting for contrasignation, especially from the Spanish side, and we are still waiting about some agreements from other universities. It's a long process. You must be very patient. This is the key for the win-win situation during the administration part of the project. Also, duration of the project is actually set up for 36 months. We are now in the phase, everything is approved. Our proposal is aligned with the Digital Action Plan 2018, and we try to involve a lot of the, schools or the partners for dissemination outputs, which give us the best practice, overview if we are doing the things good or if we are doing the things out of the point of view of the best practice. So this is the most important for us. So that's why we are waiting for some minor cosmetic changes actually for the agency, because our proposal have over 130 pages. That's a very long document, and each university have the legal body which needs to check all the documents. And also I'm sending a big thank you to CZELO and Dům zahraniční spolupráce for supporting us during the call. We have the kickoff in July 2022. Actually, I received before many minutes the call. The virtual call will be in the next week, so we are planning to discuss some details about the kickoff, about the location, about the possibilities, what is necessary to do with the administration process, because it's very important to have all the papers correctly set up during before the kickoff. This is the most important part. The cycle of the dealing of the project: be motivated, be online. It's nonsense to go somewhere to university over the world and try to cooperate like that as old traditional way. These days, it's better to contact someone through the email and ask them, well, will you have some minutes for us, or we may discuss something in the future? Yes, this is the greatest way how you may easily submit some partners to your project for future submission. Especially, you have to stay focused. Don't be broken after that you will receive the news the application call was unsuccessful. This is the most important. Life is life. This is what is it, and you must be patient. And it's not just only about you. It's the teamwork of the people in the project, and everyone who is participating in digital academies are trying to help you. It's not just only about your backs. So they are trying to boost you. They are trying to enhance your progress. They are trying to contact you. They are trying to force you to do something. It's not just only that you will just only postpone something. No, it's not like that. It's very dynamic. You must be careful about that, because sometimes you have to spend 2 nights writing something, but it's the most wonderful thing during this project in the administration part. If we look on the cycle of the dealing of the teamwork, please be very careful about the administration process. Firstly, I must mention, during the dealing, you just need a small team. Just only one person is perfect for this purpose. On the other hand, if you have the further team, the further cooperation between the teamwork, sometimes it could be messy for you and for your team. I fully recommend to you contact just only the departments which are necessary to submit something for this project later before the submission. Don't forget about the deadlines. This is the most important thing. After the proceeding, you need to contact your institutional department, which legally give you the admission, the approval. They agree with everything what is in the proposal, etc., etc. This is the very problematic part, because you must be very careful about the deadlines also in the specific European Commission system, which is integrating all digital stamps and signatures in that system. Management and structure, actually, we are working as a very small team at our university, but on the other hand, everything is under control. Also, you may have lots of the departments, and sometimes it's better to involve much more people, because they will help you with the administration process. It's not so big disaster, but on the other hand, it could be very tricky sometimes if you have to traveling as me, so you must have everything in the notes. So it could be a little bit problematic later. So the phases, we are now in the phase, we are planning the kickoff meeting, but I have to mention the most important part. Maybe if you are afraid to submit something for European calls, you must be very prepared for the deadlines, because sometimes the system is crashing. It happens me many times. Sometimes if the partners send you some links and they are trying to share with you the proposal through the system, sometimes it's not working, but they are trying to give you the instruction through the document in the emails, etc. So we must be very careful do everything before the deadline is coming, and later, if you know if you will be successful or not, you will see the results in the European Commission system, because it's the same for all partners in the system. Maybe you are asking, what is the key element for the successful project? Well, it's a hard question on me, but because each project is very quality, and we must focus and invest a lot of the energy to the writing of the proposals. On the other hand, if you look on that, don't forget about the monitoring of the needs. It was mentioned by my colleague before in the presentation before. All the needs have to be the part of the project. And if you are oriented into the digital platforms, digital, improvements, this policy helping and boosting the implementation of the level of knowledge to the schools, to the practice teachers, in service learning, etc., etc. We are trying to create something what is the transition of the knowledge through this hybrid platform, which boosts us, not just only the creators, but also the people in the pre-service learning community, like as university, like as the teachers from the practice, and also the schools and local experts. Also, you are maybe asking, just only very simply, because I almost reached my time, what we want to achieve. All the time, the best thing how to explain what we want to achieve is the short illustration. We are forcing our platform from the programmer's point of view to brings you as a teacher something what is digital platform which involves and enhance pre-service teachers, and the transition between the taking the practice and the knowledge to in service. Actually, it's very abstract. Maybe you are fuzzy what I actually said, but it's mean, okay, I have someone who is in the practice many years of the practice is going in his head, and we are trying to prepare something what will helps to our pre-service teachers to learn this knowledge, this abstract knowledge, these soft skills very quickly, and also the another mentors can easily join them through this digital platform and also enrich their daily practice. Also, we are trying to invite the people for the dissemination groups. The outputs will be shared in the community, and we may easily focus what is the most important for this school, what is the most important for this education situation, and what the stakeholders can easily improve in the curricular development. This is something what is our plan. Yeah, maybe it's the Jesus vision, but on the other hand, it can easily works because this digital platform can easily help us and boost enrich the pre-service teachers immediately, virtually, in the hybrid mode, and through the mobility. This is the key point how the digital academic academies are working. What is the most important, or who is the most important in your digital academy project? You may easily ask someone from the higher academic staff, teachers, NGOs, experts, society, or you may target your project for pre-service teachers or in-service teachers, because the education system have a lot of the gaps which may be, much more deeply developed. So it's very important to keep it in the mind all the time. For us, just only 2 slides, and I will give you some word for a discussion. So if you look on the target group, we are targeting on in-service teachers, and for us is the most important to bring them something what is working, not something what is not working, what will be just only the web browser or some platform which is not useful for them. This is the very big challenge for us, and also for our team which is participating in this digital academic call and in our project. And this is the most strategic quality assurance key point of our another discussion after 3 years during the assessment of this project. So we are very careful what we want to really involve and brings to another future generation of the pre-service teachers. Our project aim is very quickly, we are targeting on the pre-service teachers, and not just only about the pre-service teachers. Everyone will be involved, like the universities, like the development and enhancing of the cooperation between the stakeholders and also the NGO and other entities, and mainly the schools and the teachers, which are not so much skilled during their training in the theoretical way at the universities. Well, if you will have the further question, please, now it's the time. You may ask me on anything. I will try to reply as soon as possible if I will know the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kropac, for this very practical and useful presentation. I think now we have idea how one of the projects actually can look like. And first of all, I would like to wish you good luck with implementation and with in the kickoff meeting. I hope everything will work well. You're welcome. And if you have any question, anybody, you can ask now. And if you are maybe a little bit hesitant, I can again start. You mentioned many various stakeholders involved in the project, like NGOs, schools, and others. How can you like the university or the partner institution benefit from this interaction and from this cooperation with various stakeholders? And how can also your students or the participants of the academy benefit from it?
Thank you for this question. I must say it's the biggest synergy between two words. One is the academic award, and second one is the practical world, where is everything pragmatic, everything is going very quickly, it's very dynamic. And for us, we are planning to prepare some like the digital platform, which will trying to enhance the teachers' development. That's something what is very critical for us, because without the practice and problem-based learning, we are not easily understand the minor changes and minor problems in the schools, and how we may prepare the teachers if we don't understand what is going in the schools. This is the very important for us, and we would like to involve also the stakeholders which are participating on the development of the curricula and discuss with them these changes which are possible or which are not possible, because not everything is possible, and you cannot easily change the education system through the some curricula improvement. It's a long time process, so it's very important to keep it in the mind, and the NGOs can easily help us through the dissemination groups and give us the feedback, and we may check our quality assurance if everything is working or if we are going too much general in that categories, etc., etc.
Thank you very much. And this digital platform you are mentioning, do you know, or maybe it's not decided yet, if it's gonna be open to everybody or just for your purposes?
Thank you. It's actually well, I will be using the words from the last internal emails. We are still in development, because everything now, especially in the European Union, is under the legal entity, under the legal bodies with the open license system. And on the other hand, it will be decided later during the project. So I don't have the clear answer for you. I'm sorry for that, because it's still during the process, the construction of the platform in the future after the kickoff. I'm sorry for that.
No worries. I understand that it's just really the first phase of the project and you are just now signing all the contracts, and it cannot be answered as well. Okay, thank you. And I also mentioned that you are involving some schools, and you mentioned dissemination and maybe like that they will help you to raise awareness of the initiative or of the project. But can you elaborate more how you will involve schools? Like secondaries or high schools? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. I'm thinking that for the schools, it will be a great opportunity to participate in the project out of their school. For example, the virtual mobility, virtual conferences, the conferences participation, and also the teachers out of the pupils will be invited for testing of the dissemination outputs. And I think this is the role of the teachers. They can easily improve their mentor skills and boost the pre-service teachers in studies or after the studies. And this is what is working synergy between two words, as I mentioned in the first question. And this is very important to keep it together, because if you disconnect just only one word and the second word, it's not working synergy.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any question right now? It looks like no. So I think it's now time for Veronica. So we can move on to like the most practical part of this webinar, which is related to the funding and tenders opportunities portal. As I said before, that's the portal where you are about to submit your proposal if you are preparing it. So thank you, Mr. Kropacz, again. And if you will have any questions for our speakers, you can just, and you are maybe don't want to speak up, you can of course use the chat, and we are here all the time, so we will address it. So
okay, thank you for your time, and I'm actually apologize because I have to leave for the next transfer. So thank you for your time, and I hope you find something interesting for you. And good luck with your calls and your projects in future. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Day. Goodbye.
You too. And Veronica, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank also the former speakers for introduction of the teacher academies. And my task is now to present you the practical part, the portal where you are going to submit your proposal once you are motivated and inspired also by this webinar about the teacher academies. First of all, I would like to tell you that I have prepared a presentation about the portal, which is 2 slides long, but it's only for the sake of being able to publish this presentation. There are some active links directly to the portal. There is some description of the portal, but I'm not going to present this presentation, but I will show you the portal online on the internet. So this is a presentation that will be published after the webinar and will be provided to you. And now I will share the screen of the portal. So I hope you can see. So as I mentioned, that the link is provided in the presentation, or it can be easily found on the internet. It's the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal, usually abbreviated by FTOP. This is a portal of the European Commission, and it's used for different funding schemes and EU programs. So you can see that there is a lot of programs that proposals are submitted through this. But what is important for us now is this Erasmus program, and here is some short description, and then you can click on the open possibilities. So on the left side there is a filter where you can select the calls, program period, and so on and so forth. So here we have only the Erasmus project. So you can see that there are 66, but unfortunately majority of these projects deadlines were in spring or early this year, so they are already closed for the call 2022. So we can remove these, and there are 11 open possibilities to submit a proposal. So here you can see everything that is available. And for today, we are going to focus on the Teacher Academy. So that's the Partnership for Excellence. So it's Key Action 2 project. And you can see here some basic information. When the call was published or the application was open, and here is, for example, the deadline. So once you click on this link, it will guide you to the concrete page where you can see all information gathered for the Teacher Academy. So this is a place where you will go first of all before applying, and where you can find all relevant information. So the first step is definitely to go through the program guide, read all the information provided for the Teacher Academies. Once you decide that you are going to apply, you must create a partnership, or you are contacted by someone to join their consortium. So you need to have a strong partnership, ideal project idea and content of your projects to be able to start the submission process. This is something that definitely goes before you even start the submission. So now I will just guide you through this site, which is not the submission yet, because here we have the general information that was also mentioned on the previous page. You can see the total budget of 15 million for the call 2022. And since the funding for one project is around maximum 1.5 million, that means that approximately 10 projects will be funded in call 2022. So scrolling down, you can always read, always click on the show more button where you have the description. This is something also from the program guide. And here are the eligibility criteria, some more documents to be read, to be studied. Very important is here the timetable, where you can see that the deadline is September 7th. Then, of course, each proposal will be evaluated by external experts. So this will last until February 23. And that's also the deadline until when you will know about the results. So you will get the feedback from the experts, and you will either be selected or not. And then the signature of the grant agreement is this time next year. So this is the timetable for call 2022. Here, as I mentioned, are some more documents to study. There is a very good guide for applicants, which is also about this funding and tenders portal. There are some model grant agreements, so you can see what type of agreement will you sign with the executive agency once your project is selected. Important and useful tool is this partner search, where you can see some institutions or schools that are looking for partners. So if your partnership is not yet created, or if you would like to join someone, it's also, and you do not have any contacts, you might be interested to look at this page and either scroll through these partner search announcements that are already there, or you can publish your own. So this is something very important, and is connected to this particular only to the Teacher Academies, but functions also for other projects. This is the start submission part, so we will get to this later, because below you can see that there should be FAQs, but maybe they will be published by the Commission or by the executive agency later, because for different and other projects there used to be frequently asked questions that are very useful. And then again, some support, IT support, if you are not sure how to work with this. And at the end, just again, some information in theory about this project. And this is the code. So this is the structure of the page on this portal. And now when we are sure that everything is fine and we have the project, we have the idea, we have the partnership, we have everything prepared, we can start the submission process. So you have to click on this button, and the start submission will be available. So this is to confirm your choice that you are going to apply for Teacher Academies project. It will open on another page. Very important is to have an EU login. For those of you who are experienced in Erasmus Plus program, you already have your EU login. So this is the way how you sign in when you wanted to apply for a decentralized action, or when you work with the IT tools of the Erasmus program, like mobility tool or beneficiary module. So this is for the experienced ones. Those of you who are newcomers or your partners are new to the program and do not have the EU login, it will guide them, and it's a very easy registration process, and you will be given the EU login on your specific email, and you will be you can get into the proposal itself. So this is how it looks like. This is the online part of the proposal, known as part A of each and every proposal on this portal. On this left side, you have the menu. So important again, the deadline, there is the countdown, some technical data. Here below we have the help desk. So again, if you have some IT problems, something is not working, something is not valid, or it's not you have some technical problem, you definitely can contact this functioning email address. You also have some phone contacts, but before contacting them directly, try to read the manuals or the frequently asked questions, whether your problem is not solved by this. So this is for the general part, and what's very important is this downloading part B templates, because as I mentioned, part A is this online part where you submit the technical information, like your organization, your partners, the name of your project. Here above you have the steps that you are going to follow. So this will guide you and will be green once it's filled in correctly. But the very important part is the part B, which is the technical part of your project. And that's the content. That's where you write about the relevance, about the project team, about your aims, about the impact. So that's where you write everything about the project itself, following the award criteria that are also presented in the program guide. So that's the most important part, and we can have a look at it later if we still have time. But as for this, what I wanted to mention once again is this organization finding or identification, because those of you who are experienced in the program know about the PIC numbers and OID numbers, and those who are more used to decentralized actions, they know that PIC numbers are no longer used. They use the organizational IDs, but for the centralized actions and for the purposes of this portal, you have to use the PIC number. So once you have the OID, you definitely have the PIC number. You can either look it up because it will give you the possibility here, or you can contact someone. If you are from a university, contact your international relations office, and they will definitely know what your PIC number as a university is. If you are a new organization, you can again register and create your PIC number. So that's also an easy process, and if you cannot find your organization, you probably don't have the PIC number, so then it will guide you to set up one. So once you have your PIC number, you can either write it here. I used this one from one of the Slovak universities. So once these fields are correctly filled in, they will turn to be green. So your role will be probably either the main contact or only the contact person. You will fill in the acronym of your project and a short summary. And now you have everything and you can move to the next step, and you will this organization will be informed that someone is going to submit a proposal on behalf of this organization. So I will not continue, since I do not want to create test proposals. So this is very easy to fill in. This is also only the technical information. So I am sure that you can very easily orientate on these pages. So this will definitely be no problem for you. What I wanted to tell you is to be aware of the deadline, which is the September 7th, but also recommended here by the executive agency, by the portal itself, and also recommended by us who know that the IT tools might not be working perfectly on the day of the deadline. So please try to submit the proposals before the deadline, way before the deadline, at least 2 days, because then you are sure that you have some time in case there is some technical problem, that you can sort it out. You can contact someone on the help desk that there are some technical problems. And also, in case that you submit the proposal successfully, and then you realize that you have forgotten to mention something, you can reopen your proposal. You can make the changes you want and submit again, because as it is stated here, each new submitted version will replace the previous one. So the last one will be taken into account. So this is the basic information I wanted to share with you. And I can see that we have some few more minutes, so I will just very quickly show you the template of the part B. So this is what you download from the portal. It's a Word document, so it's a technical description, part B, which is then annexed to the application in the online environment. So there are some guidelines how to write it. There is some limits regarding the pages for calls that are above 60,000 euros. It's 120 pages, so you have to follow all these instructions and then start filling in the information about your project. So this is, as I mentioned, according to the award criteria: relevance, quality, impact, and then also the work packages, timing, and so on and so forth. So this is the most important part of your project, and this is what the external experts will get and will assess your project according to the information presented in this document. So you can see how it looks like. There are several pages, so it definitely is not a few days work. It takes time, but once your application is submitted, it's definitely worth it. So it takes time, it takes energy, but I hope that not only Tapio's presentation, but also presentation of the good practice by Jiří was very inspiring and motivational for you, and that you will decide to submit this proposal. So thank you for your attention, and that's everything from my side. In case you have some questions, you can all definitely ask.